I cannot tell you how lucky we are at The Rock to have the staff that we do. I am so honored to be able to lead and to work alongside the men and the women that you're going to hear from in just the next few moments, and to hear the stories of what God is doing in their life. Because yes, we have to do the budget. Yes, we have to do the bylaws. We have to take care of the formal stuff. But this is the stuff that you're going to hear that makes The Rock. This is what makes The Rock an exciting place to be. And to start things off, Pastor Mark is going to come out, and he's going to share a little bit. And as he comes, just want to kind of give you an update. We're tweaking Mark's job description a little bit this coming year. Mark is now going to be solely responsible for the pastoral care side of things. And so hospital visitation. If you are sick, you're going to see his face, popping up in your hospital room. Home visitations, things like that. Things that is just, he does such an incredible job with. And I am so excited to be able to let him serve in his wheelhouse. And I'm excited to see what God's going to do this coming year. I know this week has been a busy week for him, and he's gone to Indy, I think, and some other places to visit. And this is his heart. This is really what he loves to do. And so I'm so excited that we get to do that this coming year. And so, Mark, will you come out and just kind of share a little bit what's happening? And then I think it's Heather, Grid, and Aaron will follow after you.
You know I'm a preacher. He said share a little bit, and preachers have trouble with that. As he said, there's going to be a little tweaking, and I could use a little tweaking. But I know that many of you, because you've told me, that many of you see me as a guy who has a story for everything, and it's probably true. I probably do. I see you as you duck down other aisles in Walmart, hoping that I will not catch you, and it'll take you forever to get out. Feel encouraged. I can only talk to just one or two at once, so if you go down another aisle, you're okay. But I'm glad to be involved in the pastoral care. I really like that. That's where my heart is, and that's what I like to do. I was very much encouraged. I went to a surgery this week, and we were in the room where the person who was having surgery was just waiting, and the doctor came in, the surgeon, and talked to them, and then said words I've never heard in that room before. He said, "I always like to pray for my patients. Would that be okay?" Yeah, wow. And he bowed his head. We all joined hands, and he prayed. He prayed for the patient. He prayed for himself, that God would guide his hands. And so help me, this did cross my mind. I didn't say it, but I almost felt like when he said amen, just saying, ditto. I just so much appreciated a doctor that would do that. And I don't know that I've ever thought that before even. So that's going to be what I'm going to be doing. And I need to know when you're having surgery and how you're doing. Keep me up to date on those things. The rest of the staff is going to do that for me as well. My goal is to offer pastoral care for everyone that I possibly can, that is humanly possible. I thought when he was giving the budget thing, that operations, that's not for surgeries that I work with. That's something else. But, okay, honey, I'm done.
So for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Heather Keller, and I am the Rock Kids pastor here. I also get the privilege of working with our women's ministry as well. And I know that a lot of you don't get to see my face very often. I'm usually back in the Rock Kids area, and I know that you guys don't get to see back there. So we wanted to give you just a small snapshot of what it looks like in Rock Kids. I told the kids that I wasn't going to be back there this week and that I was going to come out here and tell you that we have more fun back there than you guys have in here, but I thought Matt might get mad at me if I really meant that, but I kind of do. I just want to give you a couple numbers. For me, numbers can be hard, but these numbers are always impressive to me because these are numbers that show God is here. In 2018, we averaged 80 kiddos in the back. We saw 530 different kids walk through our doors. We had a combination of 93 volunteers that helped us, and we were able to share Jesus 4,085 times in 2018. And yeah, woohoo, I think that's a big deal. So moving forward in 2019, what are we going to do? We're not going to change a whole lot because we think that fully connecting kids to God and each other is already happening. We're just going to fine-tune a few things to do that better. And the ways that we're going to do that, we are going to intentionally give our kiddos more ways to serve. Part of our responsibility in Rock Kids is to disciple kids from a young age. And my desire is for Rock Kids to be their favorite hour of the week and for our kiddos to grow up and not remember a time that they didn't know Jesus. So many of us have the story of, this was my life before Jesus. I met Jesus and it drastically changed. And those stories are so powerful, but my desire is that our kids don't remember not knowing Jesus, that they grow up knowing Jesus from a very, very young age, and that that's just their second nature. So we're going to continue to do that. We are also going to work towards making our role as a helper to parents more evident. I know that parenting is hard. I have a redheaded 2.5-year-old, and I have learned a lot in 2.5 years about how ill-equipped I really am. That I love Jesus, but I have no idea how to love him in the middle of a tantrum, and in the middle of the night, I really can't figure out how to love him then either, and I need Jesus. So I know that you guys are in the same boat, and so our mission is to help you. And so that is one of the things that we are going to intentionally try to do this year. So be on the lookout for those things. We also are really excited to partner with RSM this year in something that we're going to call Next Generation Ministry. And I know Matt showed you the giant goose egg that there's $0 to do it, but we are going to do it anyway because we know that it's important. And so be on the lookout for those things. Those things include ways that we can help you as parents, ways that we can equip our volunteers to do a better job at loving your kids and loving you as parents and adults and people who love kids and love teenagers. Those are things you can look forward to from us. But I need to say that I can't do this alone. There's no way I can manage 80 kids any given week. There's no way I can't manage my two-year-old. So we want you guys to know that your role is very important. Whether you are a person that prays faithfully for us, thank you for doing that, and please continue. If you are someone who serves with us, thank you, and please continue. And if you are someone who has a desire to serve God and you just don't know how, come and find us. And I would love to talk to you about what that looks like in Rock Kids. And if Rock Kids isn't that, I would love to talk to you about RSM or any other place here. But at the end of the day, we need your help. And we can't do this alone. So I want to say thank you for those of you who have stepped up and who are a part of our ministry. And I would like to encourage you, if you are not, to get involved. It doesn't have to be Rock Kids, though it is the best place to be. It does not have to be with Rock Kids, but please get involved because you are the biggest part in our mission here of fully connecting God with, in my case, kids and each other, but with each other and with God. RSM is coming up next, and check out this video that they have for you.
Hi, I'm Mason Edwards, a senior at Jay County High School.
My name is Michaela Suman, and I'm a junior at Jay County.
I'm Danny Bracey. I am a senior at Jay County High School.
My name is Mackenzie Fairchild, and I'm a junior at high school.
So RSM has empowered me to treat others to God through just talking to people at the meetings and stuff every week, just meeting new people through that have same interests as you and same faith, and just going through them.
And RSM has really empowered me to feel more confident in my faith and to be able to connect more people, like with more people and God, not just in my school but outside of my school with the middle schoolers and just like occasionally the different high schoolers that come. And it's a really open place where I feel like I can be me and feel like I can do more things related to what Christ has in his plan for me.
5 years ago, I moved from Portsmouth, Virginia here to Portland, Indiana, and the Rock Church was the first church that we started attending. And RSM, the people here, the youth pastor, the adult leaders, the students helped me find my identity in Christ and helped me grow in my faith. And it has come to a point where I am confident in my relationship with God, to the point that when I'm graduating high school, that I can own that faith outside of this church and grow beyond that.
I started going to RSM when I was in 7th and 8th grade. I stopped going, unfortunately, because I kind of lost faith in God. I had a lot of things happen in my family. My sophomore year, I went back, and because my friend Anneli Montez actually told me that I should start going because they missed me and everything. So I actually started going back weekly, and it was actually a really great experience because I learned more about God, and my faith grew stronger every day.
So to first tell you about RSM, first thing I want to do, I want to ask if you're here and you're an adult leader for RSM to please stand up so we can recognize you who you are. And if you're beside somebody who doesn't want to stand, nudge them until they do stand. So the adults who help out, there's about 20 of them. And when I ask them to be a RSM adult leader, I'm not asking them to give up 1 or 2 hours a week, because I know they're going to give up so much more than that. They sacrifice more than just that 1 to 2 hours. They sacrifice sleep that they lose at night because they're thinking about our students. They sacrifice hours throughout the week when they're attending games, events, and concerts. They sacrifice weekends when they take students to go shopping, when they go to the mall with the students. And they sacrifice their own houses when they open their doors for students to come and call them at any time. They sacrifice so much more, and they continue to pour into our students. And the students, they long for the relationship with these adults. They long for the discipleship that these adults give them, because they know that these adults, whenever they share with them their personal, social, or spiritual struggles, that they're met with love more than knowledge. They're met with hope more than judgment. And they're met with honesty more than perfection. A year ago, I started in June, and so that first month, we had CDYC. For those of you who don't know, it's our summer youth camp. And I think some of the adults probably planned some hazing for me the first night, but it got put on hold because what happened at our first team meeting. We had all the students and all the adults come together and just kind of open the floor for the students to kind of share. And on night 1, we had a student stand up and share that he was struggling with a porn addiction and that he needed help with that. We had another student stand up and share that she was being abused at home. And another one stand up and share about being bullied, that they get text messages telling them to kill themselves. And I was just really shocked how the students were so willing to vulnerably share that in front of the entire group. It wasn't a one-on-one thing they're sharing it in front of all of us. And I love it because they're able to do that because they know it's a safe place. They know that when they share those things, they're met with love more than knowledge. They're met with hope more than judgment. They're met with honesty more than perfection. And our adults who stood up in here, they hear about those things along with the everyday struggles that teenagers have on a weekly basis. And they still continue to pour into our students. When I was growing up, one of my spiritual leaders, he shared with me, he said, there's no worse feeling than pouring into a kid only to see him turn away from God. And being in my role now, I completely agree with it. It hurts so much to see somebody you just pour into them and share with them Christ's love, only to see them just say no to it. But he continued and said, but the ones you pour into that turn toward God make all the sacrifices worth it. And that's why these adults do these things. That's why they sacrifice so much for our students, because they want to help them connect with God. They want to see them grow in their faith. And this year, we've had 79 students come to RSM each week on average. That equals out to be almost 4,000 times a student has been shared Christ's love with them through RSM. To 340 different students that have walked through our doors to come to RSM. That's nearly a third of the high school. And last year, we were able to send 68 students to CDYC, all of them having a life-changing experience, 10 of them becoming new followers of Christ, in large part because of your financial help. And so we thank you so much. I'm very happy to be, when we were seeing the budget up there, I love that this church puts their money where their mouth is. When you say that you want to invest in the next generation, when you say you want to see the next generation come to know Christ, you put your money where your mouth is and you back it up with your giving. And we thank you so much for that. This year, like Heather said, we're trying to bridge a gap between RSM and Rock Kids. One of the goals for RSM this year is to better communicate with the parents so that we can better partner with you. While what happens at RSM is great, there's still no better influence on a kid's life than his parents. And so we want to come alongside the parents and help partner with you on growing them in their faith. Another thing that we like to see at RSM is when you walk in the lunchroom, you see all the different cliques in there, all the different tables. We want to see every single one of those cliques represented at RSM. So that way when a student comes to RSM for the first time, they feel welcomed and loved. And so I'm really proud to be a part of this church. And I just want to say thank you so much for making the next generation a priority for you guys.
Yeah, man, just hearing the kids and RSM as well, it just encourages me and excites me to see what The Rock is doing through our youth. And I love how Heather's able to help bridge the gap, and Grit as well, bridge the gap from the kids to the youth, and then for us in here as well. And just help make that transition smooth as they learn about God and Christ in the settings there, and then in RSM, and then we come here on a Sunday morning and get to be adults. I don't know if Heather's right or not. I think we try to have fun on a Sunday morning in here, right? Oh yeah, and honey, I'm starting. That's for you, Mark. I'm starting. But yeah, what you see me do, my official title is Worship and Outreach. I think the worship part I'm not going to hit on because you guys get to see it. You get to see it and hopefully experience and engage in what we do with the worship here. And I love the team that we have, the team back there in the sound booth, the team up here, and just the amazing gifts and talents that I feel like they're using. And I will just say, if you ever want to be a part of that, just come and find me. Come and find me, and we'll figure that out. But I love the worship team and just getting to be a part of that. The outreach part of it, I think, goes along with serving as well. Heather's hit on that a little bit of the volunteers that she has. I think she said 93, which is just amazing. But even with those 93, I know that she's always in need of more. I know you saw Grid's volunteers stand up and saw how many of them there were there. They could still always use more. And I know even on Sunday mornings with things going on out in the commons and greeters and ushers and things like that, we could always use more welcoming and encouraging people that just love to make people feel good, serving in those spots. But I think it goes beyond that, and that's the outreach part of it. It's not just serving here within these four walls. It's being equipped to just show Christ's love outside of these walls as well. And being equipped to serve outside these walls. That could be locally, that could be regionally, it could be nationally, it could be globally. You've heard me mention the last couple of weeks from the stage that we are going to North Carolina and just try to be Christ's hands and feet down there. Yeah, we're going to meet some physical needs, but hopefully we can meet some spiritual needs as well and be able to share our stories, our testimonies with people down there. And hopefully, I'm hoping that you guys here and some of the things that we do on Sunday mornings, some of the things that maybe you're doing in small groups help you guys equip yourselves to maybe be able to share your testimonies with coworkers, with friends, with families, and just be equipped for that question. Maybe you one day get asked of, why are you so excited? Or why are you so different than me? You never know. You may get that question, or maybe it just won't come up and you casually just get a chance to tell people your story of how God is impacting your life, or maybe the lives of your kids. So I love seeing that. I love being able to help people, equip people to share their story like that. To be able to do it, like I said, locally and globally, and be able to do that wherever we are. I think we're all called to do that. So I love to be able to do that. And another thing I love is just being a small group leader. It's not my official title, but Krista and I love doing it anyway. We've been a small group leader, I think, for 3.5-ish years now, 4 years almost. And in those 4 years, we've seen our group split, divide, multiply, whatever you want to call it, a couple different times, a couple different ways. And each time I love seeing those groups multiply. Sometimes it's tough seeing friends leave. Sometimes it's tough seeing great people that we have conversations with each week leave. But then to see their groups flourishing and doing some great things is also encouraging too. But along with those small groups, man, I just want to encourage you guys, and I think Matt's going to hit on this too. If you're not in a small group, I don't think Sunday morning alone is enough to help in our walk with Christ. I don't think Sunday morning coming in here for an hour and listen to some great stuff, being able to engage in worship, I don't think that's exactly what Christ calls us to do. I think it's more about bonding. I think it's more about community. I think it's more about iron sharpening iron and us being able to just encourage and strengthen each other as we go through this thing called life. So along with the small groups, I've got a video that I want to show you.
I'm Arlene Swartzentruber.
And I'm Toby Swartzentruber, her husband, and we've been coming to the Rock for about 3.5 years. And our initial reason for coming was we have 5 children. Just wanted a place for them to get to know about the Lord a little bit better. And Rock Kids has been doing a great job at that, helping us out as parents. 3 months before we started to the Rock is when I checked myself into the hospital because I was dealing with depression, and I didn't even know what depression was at the time.
Right.
And that, when I get depressed, I get angry. So that really put a stress on our marriage, and I feel like we've come a long ways from that. For the first year that we did smaller groups, I was a little skeptical about it, like, yeah, you know, but then, you know, this is our second year, and it worked last year, and it's working better this year, and I anticipate it to do even more next year.
It's definitely helped me stay focused, and plus to get to be a part of the Rock, get to help out, be a part of Rock Kids, be a part of the church family, made some great friends.
You know, anytime that I still deal with depression, that's still part of my life, whether it'll eventually go away or if I'll deal with it, you know, for the rest of my life, is I know that I can text you, call you, you know, or whoever, and there's prayer support there for that. I think the worst thing is when you feel like you're walking in this life all alone and you don't have any support. For me, that's the worst feeling ever. Yeah. So knowing that I have that support helps me out a lot.
Those are the important stories of the Rock. Those are the stories that we celebrate. You know, it's not just about the budget. It's not just about the bylaws. I mean, we can do those things, and we have to do those things. But what you heard from Mark and from Heather and from Grid and from Aaron, that's the Rock. That's what we're about. It's about fully connecting people to God and each other. One of my favorite verses is Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. Paul's writing to the church in Ephesus. He says, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine." And it's one of those things that as we begin to see what the potential holds for the Rock, God has got some incredible things in store. And you know, sometimes it's easy as pastors and as leaders to get caught up in numbers. And I don't put too much weight in numbers overall, but I do think numbers are an indicator of what is taking place. And I know Heather, earlier this morning, she talked about, you know, she averaged 83 in Rock Kids. The last 2 Sundays, and I think it's been the last 2, she's had like over 114 back in Rock Kids with her, you know, but in those 3 rooms. And so God is doing some amazing things. And, you know, she's been consistently running in the 90s with that. And so God is beginning to do some incredible things, and we're starting to see some kind of momentum take place. Last week, if you were here and you came in late, you're like, I don't find any chairs, and it's hard to find seats. And again, I don't put the success of the Rock isn't in numbers alone. But the last 2 Sundays, we've had 350 and 370 on a Sunday morning that have called the Rock Church home. And it's not because I think that we're the it place to be or anything along that lines, or that we have a better worship band than anyone else and that's why they're here. I truly believe it's because God is doing something. I had the opportunity to be a part of a conversation last night about the potential for what God may be doing in the future through the Rock and through some of the outreaches that we have and some of the connections that we're beginning to form in the community. And to hear the excitement of what could be and dream for a little bit. This is a wonderful time to be part of the Rock. And I am so excited to see in the next coming weeks and months and years what God begins to do. And you've heard a snapshot this morning of all the ministries. And we've understood one of the things at the Rock is you hear about what's going on in Rock Kids, and you hear about what's going on in RSM and the worship, and then we kind of go on our own normal business or our normal Sunday mornings, and it won't be till next year at the State of the Rock that you hear what's going on at Rock Kids and RSM. And so we're going to change that this coming year. If you've been here part of the Rock long enough, you know that we sort of have a schedule that we follow on our Sunday mornings. You know that the first Sunday of the month is when we have communion. And we celebrate that with each other. And there are a couple other things that happen. The third Sunday of every month, we're going to give a chance in the morning service for you to hear firsthand from Rock Kids, from RSM, from Aaron, and the outreach and the small groups, what God is doing so that we can celebrate not just one Sunday a year, but we can celebrate 12 Sundays a year, what God is doing in these ministries. As you heard the testimonies of the kids and the teens that were sharing about how God is impacting their life, that is what the Rock is all about. It is fully connecting people to God and each other. And I am so excited to see the impact that Rock Kids and RSM is going to have on these younger generations. And I hope you'll come along with us. I hope that as you see and you hear the stories, this is not just that's what they're doing at the Rock. Or that's what's happening at the Rock, and I'm not a part of that. I hope that you'll come and you'll be part of it with us. There's several ways for you to be part of it. One is through praying for the Rock, praying for the ministries, praying for the staff, praying for the volunteers. Because we can do all of this on our own, and it won't mean anything long term. We can only do it, and Paul understood this when he said, he's talking to the church in Corinth, and he says, I watered it, I planted it, someone else came along and watered it, but God is the one that caused it to grow. As great as Heather is, and as great as Grid is, and as great as Aaron is, and as great as I like to think that I am sometimes, life change is not possible on our own. I shared last week it is impossible for me to stand up here on a stage and to speak a message that can impact everyone. Yet God can. And so pray for us. Pray for your leadership. Pray for these ministries, that God will continue to get a hold of lives and begin to transform them. Not only pray, but we ask that you give, support financially the things that are taking place here. And you saw the budget, and you saw the things about CDYC and Camp Blast and the outreaches. And so we ask that you come alongside and support us financially. But beyond that, get involved. Get involved with what is happening at the Rock. You heard a little bit about what the impact that small groups can have on your life. It's one of the reasons this year we're putting such an emphasis on getting people involved in small groups, getting into a system and into a group of people that can check in, that you can check in with and just say, I'm doing life, and here's some struggles that I'm having right now. And it comes from a place of honesty. That place will come alongside, and when life crashes in, they will be there to care and support you. A group that you can come and you can dive into the Bible and say, okay, what does this say? And not just what does it say, but how does this apply to my life? And what does this mean for me here and now? Because it wasn't just written for 2,000 years ago. God wrote it for something that I need to understand today. We're going to teach you some skills, how to share your faith, how to tell your story, some things that the church can come alongside and say, as you go out and you are the Rock Church on a Monday morning in your workplace, how can you have a spiritual conversation? We're going to kind of get you serving with those small groups, whether it be Feed My Starving Children that's coming up here in April, or some other opportunities to kind of put hands and feet to the gospel. And then ultimately with our small groups, we want them to multiply. We want them to go out and say, here's what God is doing in my life, and because of what he's doing in my life, here's what he's doing in the lives of others. I am so excited, and I am so humbled and honored to be able to be your pastor and to hear the stories that are going on. And so get involved. Get involved with Rock Kids. Get involved with RSM. Get involved with the outreaches that are taking place, the other ministries that we have here. God has done some great things at the Rock. God has begun to transform some lives, and people are different because of the Rock Church and because of what God is doing through the Rock Church. And this is just the beginning. I am so excited to see what's in store. And I ask, and I pray, that you come along with us. And so that next year when we share these stories, we have even more, because God has just done immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine. Will you pray with me? Heavenly Father, this morning we thank you for the opportunity to be part of this journey. And Father, what you are doing here through the Rock Church, and Father, the lives that are being transformed and the lives that are being changed, not because of what we do, but because of what you're doing through us and in us. And so God, I pray this next year, that you do immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine. Not so that we can pat ourselves on the back and say, look how great we are. But so, Father, we can give you all the glory and all the praise. And Father, we can be so honored that you chose to use us. And so, God, this year, through our ministries, through our efforts, may you use us to fully connect people in Jay County to you and to each other. And God, thanks for the Rock. Thanks for the lives that are being changed. God, may you do incredibly more than all we could ever ask or imagine. And it's your name we pray. Amen. Will you stand as we close this morning, giving thanks to God for what he's done?